Welcome to Recipe Club, where we debate the best way to cook the food you want to eat. My name is Chris Ying, and I am the host of this show. Here in the clubhouse with me today are three fresh, unsullied, innocent young newbies to the club. First, we have everybody's favorite part of Dinner Time Live on Netflix, Mandy Roberts. Welcome, Mandy.
Thank you.
Next, artist, ping pong maestro, chef of Anajak Thai, Justin Pichetrungsi, here in the center of our stage. And finally, real ones know him as Midtown Lunch. But he is also the general manager of Smorgasburg in LA. I think the finest open air food market in the Western Hemisphere.
I'll take it.
Zach Brooks. I have invited these three people here today because they are absolute party animals. And if I were having a real potluck and not this fake podcast podluck.
Ooh.
Oh.
Did you just
No, I wrote that down on this piece of paper earlier.
Okay.
I would invite each of them. And today we are going to be debating the best way to cook a delicious, nutritious, shareable potluck dish that will win you new friends and really annoy your old ones. Each of them has cooked a publicly available potluck-themed recipe. We're going to get to all of that in just a minute. But first, we have to have our traditional open forum on potlucks. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I'm going to assume everybody knows what a potluck is.
Snap.
Right?
Yes.
A dinner, a party, a lunch where everybody is contributing, bringing their dishes. I only ask this because I have here in my producer's notes that if you don't know what a potluck is, think Ohana gathering in Hawaii, or kiddie party in India, or knitkalas in the Nordic countries. So,
I don't know I've never heard of any of those things, not a single one.
I was hoping it might clarify things for you if you weren't sure what a potluck is. But potlucks, are a traditional church thing in North America. It dates back to the 16th century in England, and the Protestant churches of North America made a big thing out of them. Potlucks, the word itself meant to take a chance with whatever's in the pot. So emphasizing the kind of spontaneity or unpredictability of what you're going to eat at dinner. There are Native American potlatches, which bear some, spiritual resemblance, but it's a potluck. So when was the last time any of you went to a potluck?
Recently. Last week.
And what did you bring?
Well, it was interesting because I was supposed to essentially be a guest, but I ended up cooking most of the food.
This
doesn't sound like a
chef.
That's not a potluck.
This
That's
is
not
the curse
a
of a
potluck.
chef attending
Also,
a potluck.
does that happen everywhere you go? Like anytime you enter a space and there's food involved?
And then the next question after that is it, am I doing it because I'm trying to avoid interactions at the party?
Yeah, you were.
Oh, you're telling me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's 100%
Because you were
true.
actually cooking at the party?
Yeah.
That's not a potluck either. That's just you just made food for a bunch of people.
There was some incomplete elements
What does that mean?
to the potluck.
Meaning
What was missing from the potluck that needed filling in?
Cooked food.
From other people at the party? Yeah.
Were people just bringing like desserts and dropping them on the table?
We had a very, very good pastry chef that brought these little chew pastry cream filled.
This is not
This sounds like a party. It sounds like a party
It's a
that
party
you got
with
duped
chefs.
into doing all the food for.
You were just
Basically.
describing a collaborative dinner that Open Table or Resi sponsored and you had to cook at.
I feel like for a potluck, at least 60% of the guests have to bring something, right? At least.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's...
At least.
Yes.
Yes.
If not more.
Right.
How do you get
I
on
think
the list
everyone's.
to not?
But that's what a potluck is. Potluck is everybody has to bring something.
I thought that was.
Justin,
the
you bring up a
rule.
good point. How you get off the list of bringing food is you sign up immediately for being the ice person or the cups person.
Speaking of
whatever it
signups,
is.
so one of the last potlucks that I went to had a Google spreadsheet that had all of the elements that they wanted
I
at.
love that.
I
potluck.
hate that.
I think it was kind of nice because there wasn't a ton of redundancy.
But was it like specifics or was it
No,
general
it was
categories?
general categories.
That is anathema to me. A potluck with a spreadsheet ruins the whole idea of a potluck. It's about like surprise, and when you don't want overlap, you don't want redundancy.
There's still a surprise element.
I want
No one knew.
I want redundancy because it means competition.
Oh.
If 3 people bring mac and cheese, then it is clear we're going to find out who makes the best.
Then just have a mac and cheese cook-off and don't call it a potluck.
So much.
I would never do that.
I mean, that's the same as
interesting.
redundancy.
That's interesting.
Zach, what was the last potluck you went to?
I can't remember.
Smorgasburg is kind of a potluck.
No, I mean, no. That's again, it's like
Offended.
that's like a professional cooks or chefs making food for other people, not a potluck.
Sure. So professional chefs aren't allowed to go to potlucks, is what you're saying?
No, well, actually, I mean, when I saw Justin walk in, I was kind of like, "What the hell's this? That's not right. That's not fair." Like, I feel like there's already anxiety when you're going to a potluck because you feel like you're going to be judged on what you bring.
You will.
And right. And so, and then to know that they're going to be chefs making food, like that's not like,
So don't invite chefs.
well, it's just another
aren't
level
allowed.
of anxiety
Rude.
Yeah.
for, for people attending a potluck that, I mean, how am I going to compete? Now, it just so happens
I think
that
it's with your personality. So you bring food to the potluck plus personality, and then chefs bring amazing food and they're real quiet.
you're saying chefs have no personality.
No, I'm saying that they're very reserved usually. In my
Chefs-
experience of social settings, they kind of sit back. So it's like their food that does the talking.
See,
It's not untrue.
Listen, clearly, if you're not a chef, I mean, for me, I brought like my A+ game to this endeavor. Like, this is the most important thing to me, was to make something incredible that all of you are gonna love and be like, oh my God, we have to invite Zach to our next potluck.
Sure.
Yes.
You don't need this. Now, do you approach it with the same
Is that
fervor?
true?
Like, were you just like, I'm going to throw together the kind of thing that I would make for myself at home on a weekday? Or are you,
I was
like,
trying
do
to.
you feel the pressure?
I felt the pressure because I was trying to follow that recipe to a T. And we'll talk about it, but I made two small shortcuts. But I don't want to be stressed, and I don't want my guests to be stressed if I have a potluck. So I want them to like you strolled in and you're just like, I'm done. And then you just start hanging
we'll get into
out.
the specifics of what people brought, but I think there is a good question here because Zach, you actually said your goal at a potluck is to bring your A game, to impress, to wow people. Is that always the goal for a potluck? Is that actually best practices for a potluck to go all out and try to win?
Yes.
That's it. I think actually it's ease.
Yeah.
It's like bring it in one bag, easy cleanup. You didn't sweat in the process.
I like that.
Is this why I don't get invited to potlucks?
Mandy, what is your are you of the I gotta win this thing, or I'm just gonna bring what I know is like a crowd pleaser, easy for me?
Crowd pleaser easy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no interest in winning. I don't care. If I got invited, I'm just happy to be there.
Let it just be said that I'm a little nervous about the competitive fire in my 3 contestants here on the show today. Let's get into etiquette a little bit. Potluck etiquette. I will tell you guys the worst potluck I ever went to. I was invited by a friend who we've talked about on the show, so I won't say him by name, but he invited us, a bunch of friends, to a potluck grill out at his house in Northern California. And he's like, everybody bring something to grill and bring some food. So we trucked it out. It was in the Russian River. All of us drove from San Francisco, Oakland, everywhere, 2 hours out to this potluck. And when we arrived, I kid you not, he asked, "Did anybody bring a grill?"
Oh,
No.
Does anybody have a grill? Does anybody have any charcoal?
Was
He
there
contributed
anywhere?
some leftover beets from his refrigerator and had no beverages and nothing else. So if that is the low end of a potluck, I think the bare minimum is, if you're hosting a potluck, are you cooking?
Yes, some sides.
Sides.
I think the host will do the most regardless. You can't host a party and call it a potluck just to try to get out of doing a bunch of work. I think it's going to be there's going to be some organization. There's going to be some tablescaping.
So
You know?
I agree with that, but I've never hosted a potluck because my logic, Justin, is okay, people are coming over. I can't just say, you guys all bring the food and I'll do a little bit here and there. I'm going to end up cooking a big thing, 3 or 4 things, some tablescaping, if you will. And then I'm like, why would I even want anybody else to bring anything? I don't want to eat anything they're cooking anyway. I'll just do the whole thing myself. But like that is contrary to the spirit of the potluck, I guess. Right? You need to be inviting people in to share their nonsense. Do you offer to help clean up after a potluck?
Kind of the idea of the potluck is that everybody just takes their things back with them.
Do you take your dishes back dirty or do you clean them at the house before you leave?
Me personally?
It depends if there's still some left. If there's nothing left, then clean.
Do they have a
things and
nice
take
sink?
them home.
That was my thought. That's where my head went.
It's gotta be a
how
deep
big is
sink.
it? Yeah, how deep? Yeah.
Gotta have,
Yeah,
I need
Now,
It's amazing
there's
how
cl-
picky you guys are.
Well, no, I mean, if there's, it's just,
You're like
it's,
so
it's,
You was asking us a question.
I know,
it's
but
practicality. Like if it seems like it would be easy for you to just quickly rinse out the dish before taking in your car, great, do it. But if not, like if it's a tiny sink or it seems like there's a bunch of stuff in it, or there's a lot of people who need or want to clean
resource allocation is a fundamental thing here. So I think cleaning your dish is one thing. We'll get into this obviously later, but there is also the person who comes and says, can you preheat your oven to X temperature?
Oh, that's
Do
me.
you have X, Y, or Z thing? Where's your Thermomix? Do you have, whatever other
you have a
nonsense?
Do you have
torch?
charcoal
do you
and,
have
and a
torch?
full grill?
Do you have a full grill
to
for
cook
me?
the raw meat I've brought to the Russian?
Was there
market?
any mechanism to cook meat
There's
on?
literally nothing.
That's wild. So what'd you do?
shish kebab sashimi.
I use the toaster oven. I use the toaster oven to cook for like a bunch of people.
my God.
So I think
chops in
that
the toaster oven.
I think an element of a good potluck dish is something that requires minimal resources from the host, both in the presenting and in the taking away of the dish. I think that's a foregone conclusion. You can't be the one who's just like, can I use your bedroom too? Like I need to do a goat sacrifice in there. Do you think about the audience in terms of allergies or, this will come up later, but am I going to bring if I'm making a Korean fire chicken, for instance, am I thinking like, who's coming to this party? Are there a bunch of like hardcore K-Town people who are going to be like, oh man, this is not real? Are you worried about your audience?
100%.
I'm more worried about the time of the year and the theme of the gathering. So less about the audience.
Oh.
How I
So
choose
you're just
the
like
dish.
summer in Provence is the theme. That's what you
Yeah,
gotta
then I
stick
would
to.
do like figs with ricotta and prosciutto. It's true. It's much more
And that's
dependent
an easy
on that.
one, too.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on the size of the gathering. The smaller the potluck, the more you have to worry. If it's a huge potluck, you don't have to worry as much. I'm bringing this, and there will be people
Right.
there who will eat it.
But if 50% of the people have a shellfish allergy at the 6-person potluck, you're not going to bring a shellfish dish, right? But like, you'll find your people in a 60-person
That's a high
party.
percentage for a party.
I don't know why shellfish allergies come up on this show so often, but they really do. Okay, so I think those are the sort of parameters for our potluck recipes. There are 46 million results when you search online for potluck recipes. You guys have chosen 3 of those recipes and cooked them all. So if you're ready, we're going to close this open forum and get into the meat of the matter, our recipe reports.
Ready.
Are you? Zach, you don't look ready.
Oh,
You
I'm ready. Sorry.
So, as usual on the show, each of our 3 Recipe Club members has chosen a publicly available recipe. When I say publicly available, I mean the kind of recipes that are going to show up when you search for potluck recipe near the top, or are just things that people are going to stumble into. This week's recipes come from the Frank's Red Hot website, Serious Eats, and the James Beard Foundation. Mandy, Justin, and Zach have each brought the results of their investigative cooking into our studio here before we started rolling on the podcast. They all made plates. They all made potluck style plates, sat down, ate them, inspected them, jotted down some notes, and we're going to get into each of them. But first, I'm going to put dear old Zach Brooks in the hot seat here, who brought old school chicken and sausage jambalaya, a Donald Link recipe that was printed on the James Beard Foundation website. Jambalaya, for those who don't know, is a classic New Orleanian dish. Donald Link mentions that there is Cajun and there is Creole jambalaya. Which one is this one, Zach?
Oh, it says it on the recipe. Was I supposed to remember? I believe it's Cajun.
I believe it is Creole.
I didn't realize it was going to be a test.
No,
I know.
it's so.
Am I supposed to know
This is why you have anxiety around potlucks, by the way.
The
it's
dish
because
I made,
of christening.
So Donald Link says the Cajun one is more tomatoey, has shrimp. The Creole, a more rustic stew. This is Donald Link, who is again a amazing chef from New Orleans of Cochon and Pêche, and just one of the sort of most important culinary voices in New Orleans. But this recipe, I think, more or less involves you roast a chicken, and then you're sort of using that chicken for its meat and its bones, and you're producing this big pot of seasoned rice with all of the typical New Orleanian flavors. So, Zach, you rejected all of our suggestions for potluck recipes and went your own way. Why did you choose this recipe, and talk us through your experience of cooking it?
Well, I didn't reject your recipes. This recipe
Felt a lot like rejection when we were like, how about these? And you said no.
Well, I had this in mind because once I found out that potluck was the theme, this recipe popped in my mind. It's probably, I think it's my favorite recipe of all time, of anything I've ever made in my life. I love it. I find it so incredibly satisfying, especially to cook for like a large group of people, whether it's a party, a potluck, anything. And it just immediately popped in my mind. And as we were going through all of the things you have to think about when bringing a dish to the potluck, to me, it checks every box. Like there's nothing that it doesn't
What are the boxes
satisfy. Well,
that you need checked?
I mean, first and foremost, I feel like winning the game, because the
first box is be the best. Check. Got it.
First box is be the best. But there's a lot like there's a lot of anxiety to me when you get invited to a potluck because you're like, oh my God, what are people going to think about this? Right. So number one, you walk in with, the pot that you cook it in is the pot you bring it in. And it's a really nice looking pot. It's a great sort of serving receptacle. It's very nice. You walk into a party with that. People are like, oh, what's that? And then you open it up and it looks good. It can sit for hours and it is as good, if not better, after a couple hours than when it first comes off the stove. So it's just as good room temperature. It's a good like talking piece. Like if you're at a potluck, like there's a lot of things that you can talk about.
Like if someone were to say, Zach, is this Cajun or Creole? What would you talk about in that instance?
Not the specificity of the history of the dish, but like the process. So it actually, I started this dish yesterday. It's like a step process. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not hard. It's like super easy to make. But it involves a process that I find to be insanely satisfying and could easily talk about at a potluck for 30 or 45 minutes. Like if
I went to a party and somebody talked to me for 45 minutes about how they made their jambalaya, I would stab myself in the eye.
We established early on that there's a reason I don't get invited to potlucks.
Zach, I'm trying to help you. Don't talk to anybody for 45 minutes about the dish you made. No, he's saying
it's 45 minutes all day.
No, I don't think so. I think he's talking about Justin. You're trapped in a corner for 45 minutes.
Let's say there's 45 people.
There's no
That's
question,
a minute per person.
And there's no question Justin's the one that I would trap in the corner as an incredibly well-respected chef. To be like, dude, do you know what went into making this? Can I tell you?
That's his dream. He loves getting trapped in the corner talking about food.
There's like Justin is also, exactly the person who would allow himself to be trapped for 45 minutes by you hearing about your jambalaya. So, okay, I admit I was skeptical of, or we were all the producers were like, jambalaya, why is he picking jambalaya? I think it's really interesting what you say. It is a dish that you brought it in, you set it down, and that was it. There was no, hey, do you guys have this? Do you guys have that? I assume you heated it at home?
I cooked it this morning.
Okay.
And
How long
then-
from home to here?
Like 30 minute drive.
Oh, and it was like
25
very
to
warm.
30 minute drive.
It was still very warm.
I mean, it probably came off the stove at, 2 hours before it got here.
Okay.
Which you need it. You can't just put it super hot into the car, so you got to let it cool down a little bit. The recipe actually says to put it into a like a tin, like
aluminum tray.
Aluminum tray, right? Which makes sense. Like if you go to a party in New Orleans, there's gonna be jambalaya in an aluminum tray. It says that if you leave it in the pot, it will overcook it, which I think is probably true, but I feel like the pot is so nice and it's such a great sort of thing to put on a table at a potluck that I always leave it in the pot and just do my best to sort of cool it down, mix it around as much as I can so it doesn't get like too gloopy and overcooked.
But I will say the recipe has a really nice point in it, which says, if you're cooking it through and you taste it and the rice is not done yet, it's still al dente or whatever, just leaving it covered will continue to cook it, which is something I don't think enough people do with like rice. It's just like, oh, it's undercooked. I need to do something insane with it. But if you just sort of let it go, it's going to keep cooking.
40 minutes. So the cook time on when you cover it cook, you cover the pot. I mean, there's a lot of cooking that goes on beforehand, but the final cooking of the rice is 40 minutes, which is way more time than long grain rice needs to be fully cooked. So there's no scenario where if you actually cook it for 40 minutes, it's going to be undercooked in any way. I did consider cooking it for less time, like 30 or 35 minutes, like to see if that, and then allowing it to finish cooking on the drive over here. But I figured I've always done it this way, and I didn't want to mess around.
This is a
for
strong.
this
Okay.
big
Take the
moment.
chance, yeah.
In terms of great takeaway, this is it, right? Like whether you were cooking for a dinner party at home or you're taking something to a potluck, that is not the time to mess around with experimentation. Why would you like that? This is something that boggles the mind every holiday when someone is like, well, I'm going to make this for the first time. Why?
Yeah, don't
why?
do that.
Why would you do that? Why would you mess with the formula? So let me ask you a few questions before we get into the comments from your fellow competitors here. How many times do you think you've made this recipe?
Maybe a half a dozen, maybe a little bit more.
Have you made other jambalaya recipes?
Nope.
Okay.
I mean, unless you include like a box of Zatarans.
And how closely are you following the recipe here?
I would say, aside from the putting it in the aluminum tin, and today I followed it to the T. In the past, if I knew that there were a lot of people coming to a party who like didn't eat pork, I would substitute the andouille with like a chicken andouille. Or if I knew that there were going to be a lot of kids, maybe I'd dial back the spice that it calls for. Like calls for 2 jalapenos plus like a couple teaspoons of chili powder and
Cayenne.
And cayenne.
What did you do? So the recipe calls for, just right off the bat, a roasted chicken.
Yeah.
What'd you do for
Love
roasted?
it.
You roast your chicken or
Just
do you
roast
buy?
it. You just roast a chicken. It's like not. They don't give you it's just roast a chicken.
What's the Zach Brooks roast
well,
chicken?
for this, it doesn't. You're not going to use the skin, so it doesn't really matter. So it's just 400 degrees, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. Like.
You don't think the skin would add anything?
So I did actually. It says to discard the skin. There are times where if I had time, maybe I would take the skin and like cook it and render the fat, make it crunchy, and add it like as a like at the end. For this one, I did chop up some of the skin and put it in there. But
Justin, you're not even talking like chicken chicharron. You just think like the skin mixed into the rice is delicious, right?
100%.
well, you get all of the drippings. You save all of the drippings from the. So you roast the. God, I love this recipe so much. You roast the chicken. Just like that's just a recipe in and of itself.
Yeah.
No, I feel
And
like
then-
we're being cornered at a party now. Let's move into our comments. I feel like we're about to get into a 45-minute
so
discussion.
funny.
Here are some
Fair.
comments
That's
here.
fair. I can't. Yeah.
It's so lovely though how much you love it. I feel
Thank
like
you.
that
It
adds,
is.
Thank you,
that
Mandy.
should be like points
Thank you.
towards
I-
you winning today
And
because you love
Ooh.
it so
And
much.
can
Let me
I
check with the
say-
judges. Are there points for loving it? No.
And can I say
You're the
I
only
wish
judge.
you were hosting the show?
Let me see. Will the judges approve that? No, sorry. That's another no.
Chris, I think we're meant to trade seats.
Mandy says it was a great use of bay leaf, really delicious and well seasoned. I think you bring this up because Justin, you were throwing something out before the show that maybe bay leaf, a great conspiracy.
I don't know if it is. If you took bay leaf out of the recipe, you think you would tell? You could tell.
I personally can't
Not
say either way, but I added in blindly.
Incremental flavor, but you could say that about a bunch of the ingredients and then they would all be gone. Mandy makes enough for everyone, easy to transport, very, very good, makes good leftovers. Criticisms, very filling, doesn't leave room for snacking. Is that true, Zach, or do you think that's user error?
No, I mean, I that's
You can only have a bite.
that's fair if you're talking about a potluck and you think you want to try a lot of different things. Like
That requires restraint that I do not have.
Right.
She would have loved a little hot sauce, maybe a little too hefty for a summer gathering, for that summer in
the
Provence.
Back to
seasonal
my
thing.
seasonal
Yeah, that's
themes,
fair.
yes.
That's fair.
Justin thought it was warm and moist. Good heat, which I agree. Nice level spice from that cayenne, I think. Nice seasoning, not too salty. Let's see. I haven't had enough jambalaya to criticize, Justin says, but this is at least better than regular rice.
I prefer it over regular rice.
You thought it seemed a little healthy, if not too healthy, Justin.
Yeah. But I think that's actually, I don't know. Now I think that's maybe good for a potluck because it's going to be a lot of ultra flavorful, ultra seasoned food. So
Way too salty.
You had a question, Justin, and I had the same question about the sausage. What sausage did you use for this, Zach?
Andouille.
Like what kind of andouille, though?
What do you mean, like the brand?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I asked
I'll buy
because,
whatever I find.
Honestly, what stops me from making jambalaya in where I live in California is that having tasted andouille sausage in Louisiana, I'm just like, I'm not going to mess with this. I'm not going to even attempt this without like real andouille sausage, which is like a glorious gift from the gods.
Can you ship it to yourself?
You can. I forget the place. I will find it. We'll share it. But there are places you can get andouille and tasso ham all shipped to you. My ham people, my pork people. I thought that the heat was nice. I thought it was very comforting. I was skeptical of jambalaya, but like you have convinced me both through your monologuing and also through the actual dish itself. I didn't love the sausage. Did you mince all of the vegetables, or it just seemed like everything was very small in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you wish it was
you want
larger?
big chunks?
No, just wondering. It was just I was like, usually there's some floaty bits in there, but it was just very teeny tiny. We typically ask like what people think of this relative to other versions they've had. The truth is, I've had a lot of jambalaya, and I've liked 95% of it. I would never venture like, is it a good jambalaya or a bad jambalaya? Like, so that my only question is, would you bring this to a potluck in New Orleans?
100%. I mean, it's a Donald Link recipe. The guy is, and even
If
though
Donald Link was at the party.
100%, I would love to corner Donald Link at a party and tell him
45
how
minutes.
much I love making this recipe. It's just so satisfying
He wants
to me.
that.
Mandy,
Hard cut.
Chris.
you chose buffalo chicken dip from the Frank's Red Hot website.
Correct.
I have some questions.
Okay. I probably have answers.
So when you were choosing this recipe, we were waiting for you to send it through.
yes.
And
Oh, no.
you had asked for which family member did you ask for this recipe?
So it's my older brother's in-laws. So they're like my in-laws in-law.
Okay. So you were like, hold on, I need to get the recipe, but they're playing
Dominoes.
or something.
On the internet.
And
they were busy.
They were too busy
wouldn't-
for you.
They wouldn't send it.
My question is this. When you asked for this family recipe, did you think that you were going to be directed to the Frank's Red Hot website, or did you think
No.
this was going to be a recipe card?
Okay, so I asked two of the family members because the first family member was playing dominoes on the internet, and the first one sent me Frank's Red Hot, and then I was like, wait, this is what it's been all along. But then the second person followed up with a document, like a Word document. So they had just copied and pasted.
Yeah.
And so I never knew.
This is a tale as old as time, I think. I remember having an experience with the writer Wright Thompson, who's a great American sports writer. He had pitched an article to me about a family recipe, just like this. This beautiful, loving thing. His grandfather had made a knife out of the old wood from the barn in Mississippi, and they used that to cut the blah 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 blah. And he was like, "I'm going to find the source of this recipe. It's like a family mystery and all of this stuff." And I was like, "That's going to be great. Like, we're going to publish this article. It sounds fantastic." And then he called me a week later and was like, "I'm so sorry. Like, I can't. I think it's okay to tell this, even though I might ruin the Thompson family legacy." He was like, "I'm really sorry, Chris. Like, I can't write the article." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "As I started digging, I found out it was just like from the back of a jam jar or something. And like my father has been like, my dying father has been carrying this around as like his legacy for this whole time." But so often, and maybe less and less these days, the family legacy recipe in America
Started on the back of a box.
starts on the back of a box.
Yeah.
Which I don't think disqualifies it as something delicious, but talk us through the Frank's Red Hot Buffalo Chicken dip / sliders you made here.
Okay, so it is a dips / sliders, so it doesn't have to be a sandwich, but I think that the potato roll adds a little extra something because there's gonna be on a potluck table plenty of chips and dips, and so this just gives it a little bit of a nice element. It's really easy to make. It takes 20 minutes. I don't enjoy a potluck moment where I have to spend 2 days in preparation for this potluck because I'm already really not looking forward to the potluck experience in the first place. And so I just want it to be quick, easy, and like I drop it off. I don't care who eats it if it gets eaten because it's like not a whole huge heavy lift.
So how long could you talk to somebody at the party about this recipe?
Not long at all. No, I love food, and I love like kind of what I called this on the prep phone call was that it's like a very slutty little dip where it's just like really salty, really flavorful. It pairs well with good chips or with veggies or with bread, and it's easy. But also, I love buffalo wings. I just am not going to cook buffalo wings. Like, I'm not the preparer of buffalo wings in a nice way.
Sure.
So this is my shortcut to getting the flavor without doing that work.
Okay. Your recipe, like Zach's, called for pre-cooked shredded chicken. What did you do for your chicken?
Yes. So I've tried it a couple of different ways, like roasting chicken, putting it in there, but it's a little bit too dry and like highbrow in a weird way. Rotisserie chicken is a really nice kind of sidestep, but if you're really short on time and you also are just looking for it to be extra disgusting and in the most delicious way, you use chicken from a can. Yum.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is that what you use today?
Yes, it is. Just it's canned canned chicken.
Truth. Did you know that? Did you know that, Zach?
So, I have to be honest. You have the card in front of you. Under negatives, I wrote...
You said no notes.
I wrote no notes.
You were...
Now, that was before I heard your guys' criticism of my dish. Now, all of a sudden, I'm like,
Justin,
all right, well, actually...
did you recognize the chicken as coming from a can?
Oh, no.
I did not have any idea this chicken was from a
I didn't actually realize
can.
there was chicken in the dish, and now that I'm thinking back, I was like, I didn't
Wait,
really even look at
hold on.
the name of the dish.
Okay, first of all, I didn't even know you
Because
could buy chicken from a
Cheese?
can.
Yeah,
It's like
absolutely
cheese.
you
It's like a
can.
cheese dip.
Hold on, there's
It
so
is.
many.
In there, too.
There's so many
Chicken in
amazing
there,
things
too.
happening
Cheese
here.
is the predominant.
My
I think I
God.
just broke Justin's brain.
So
a
Justin,
tiny
this
bit.
is the first time you're realizing that chicken comes in a can.
It's not.
It's like tuna fish, right?
Oh.
It's kind of no.
It
it's like
is
the
sort
same
of
It's not.
the
It's
same.
chicken from the ground.
It's chicken of the sea.
Is it like a whole chicken that comes out of like a...
You wish that it was.
They have
No,
those though too.
it-
They have whole chickens that come out of a can. They do have that too. I
No,
bought one
this-
for friends as
This
a joke.
actually is sealed in water, just like tuna.
So that was Justin's realization. Mine, I feel hoodwinked and delighted that I had no idea that it was canned chicken.
Yeah.
Zach didn't even know there was chicken in it. This is the
just
quality
choosing
of this is the
Fairness,
quality of judgment we have today.
I chose the potato roll instead of the crudité, so that also
Holy.
masks some of the.
Yeah, no, it's this is not. I don't go to potlucks. Okay, another secret about me entering a potluck is that a lot of times I'll just bring Wendy's Frosties and French fries.
That's a strong move.
And people
Although French
love
fries
it.
don't,
But I didn't
can't
make
sit.
it. They can't, but you can put them in the oven, as it
But
turns
now
out.
we're just bothering people's. Anyway, I thought that this was maybe the most like crowd pleasing like choice that could be made. A buffalo chicken dip slider, delicious. You keep on referring to it as a potato bun, but I feel the fact that you used King's Hawaiian was the correct bun move. I liked it as a sandwich as instead of a dip. I do enjoy that part. I disagree with the choice not to pre-make the sandwiches though. Because I'm like a nanny state potlucker. I'm not like do what you want. I'm like eat how I want.
So if
you
there
to
was
eat
a
it.
sloppy Joe on offer, you would want me to make you a sloppy Joe?
That's one of my fantasies. Yes.
I don't think that that's true. I just don't agree. I have never been to a place where a sloppy Joe was on offer other than a restaurant where it came to me already made.
Mandy, you used chicken out of a can, but then you somehow brought farmers market celery as an accompaniment. I thought the celery.
Gotta know where to spend the money.
I thought
in
the celery
right
was
place.
terrible.
You thought that the celery was terrible at the studio, and then I had Andrew do a little peeling, so it got a little less fibrous, and it's much better, and it's super full of flavor. Try it again.
I am so
Justin-
scared that you're going to get fewer points deducted for the chicken on a can than I got for choosing a perfectly fine but not as good as New Orleans andouille sausage.
I think that's true.
I'm fickle.
It's because that's actually such a good point. I don't even know why it
Like
is.
you're
because
not giving it, like you're not caring. Is
You
gonna
don't
get
know
you
what's
extra
going on with the
points.
points over
I
here,
think I
because
know. I
Justin.
could
it's because
feel it. I
your
could feel
dish
it.
is more elevated. No one expected mine to have anything but canned chicken. Let's be honest.
Justin found it punchy, tasty,
Punchy.
perfect size,
Oh, cute.
dairy exclamation points. Very dairy.
So much dairy.
I agree. Very
Yeah.
dairy.
Yeah.
Just to review, it's blue cheese, cream cheese. What else is in there?
Blue cheese, cream cheese, Frank's Red Hot Sauce, and ranch. Hidden Valley Ranch.
And ranch.
Yeah, because you can't make the choice between blue cheese and ranch.
Right.
You have to have both.
His critiques also dairy exclamation point. Justin, do you still stand by the second critique that you had here, knowing now the provenance of the chicken, that it might have needed more chicken?
It might have needed more not canned chicken.
I actually agree with you, though. It should have had more chicken.
Okay, how much of the liquid went in?
No,
from the
none.
canned chicken?
Gross. No.
That's gross?
Yes.
But the chicken that sat in the can? Not gross?
Still gross, but I'm not going to give you just like canned chicken
Can we
water.
play back the footage and see if she actually ate her own dish?
I did.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
How many times have you eaten this dish at family gatherings?
So many. My brother and his wife have been married for 21 years. So,
Did you know it was
20
canned chicken all along?
no.
When did you find? Did you?
When I first made it, so you have the option of whatever chicken you want to use. So I found out, I don't know, like a few years ago, not 20 years ago for sure.
Oh, damn.
Would it be, here's the question though, would it be better if we actually roasted a chicken and put it in there? I
No.
don't necessarily think so.
No, it's dry.
No.
But I do think what I would do if I was to play this all over again, I would do canned chicken, the right amount, the same amount as it is now, but I would also add a little bit of rotisserie chicken just because I think it would add like some texture.
So you say rotisserie chicken. What if I just bought like a bucket of Popeyes and pulled the chicken meat off that?
Sure.
That'd
Same.
be delightful too,
Yeah.
right?
And then just eat the breading.
And then I just
I
didn't go to
don't-
the party.
No,
I
the
just
bread-
stayed
we just fell asleep at home.
Yeah.
Good. The breading
Yeah,
would
the
be
breading would be
in
good.
there.
I
Like
just
the
stayed
texture,
home
a
with
little
my
bit
bucket.
of crunchy.
Right.
I think
Zach,
you're onto something.
super fun way to bring a dip. Love the Hawaiian rolls. No criticisms. A perfect dish, according to Zach.
It's so kind of you.
I regret that.
Your kindness, you regret your kindness.
What? So Zach said he's brought this places. Do you get a good response when you bring this places?
Yes.
Okay.
It's always gone, which is why I don't have to worry
How
about the
many
dishes.
people that you feed know that it's canned chicken?
I would say 0. No one's ever asked. And now everyone knows.
This is why you don't talk about it at the party. Just like, hey, what was in that dip? Anyway.
Anyway, let's talk about that jambalaya.
Yeah.
Did you see Zach's
Have you talked
jambalaya?
to Zach?
Zach, come over here. Talk to us about your jambalaya. Okay, our third and final dish of the day. I'm realizing we have a theme of spicy chicken here at this potluck. Justin, you chose Korean-style fire chicken, Buldak, with cheese from Serious Eats. Buldak has became popular in Korea in the early 2000s. It is sort of quintessential drinking food, a sizzling platter of grilled or broiled chicken with like a spicy gochujang sauce coated in melted cheese. This is, a K-Town specialty. Why did you choose this recipe? And talk us through your experience of it.
I live in K-Town. Recently, not too recently, but a couple months ago, went to a Korean chicken place and had some. I thought it was delicious. I saw it on the list. I was like, this is going to be easy enough to do. I have like 6 Korean markets within 3 blocks of my place.
That's nice.
And one of the constraints was I was going to try to get everything at the one market.
It sounds like it didn't work out.
No, it did.
Oh, everything.
Except for the chicken, because
You
unlike you,
can.
I'm a stickler about the chicken. And so I get, if I'm...
I mean, she is too in her own way, just the opposite way.
Right.
If my chicken doesn't come in a can, I'm not touching it.
I
Also a
actually did
stickler.
send Andrew away because he had given me real chicken.
Good God, man. What chicken did you rock with?
So I went to Standings, and they have Jidori chickens, which is the same chickens we use at the restaurant. So I was like, great, I know the quality. They had a couple boneless skin-on thighs, which is kind of the move. And so 2 markets, 2 stops.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. And I was able to get the soju there.
Yes, so talk us through your presentation here, because you arrived with multiple components.
Well, the rice cooks at a different speed and moisture level, right? And so I separated the rice, the chicken with the sauce, and the cheese. And then presentationally, I've got some green onion on the side. It doesn't take that much time, honestly. And then...
How much time would you say it takes? Like from start to finish?
Oh, this dish? No,
Yeah.
it took way longer than I thought. Okay, so
It's a pretty involved recipe, and Serious Eats, I feel like the MO for Serious Eats is like no consideration for your time or the number of dishes you are willing to wash. They're just all, I mean, to the whatever, like that is just their MO is like maximum specificity and like how it should be done.
how it should be. Yeah.
But not necessarily like, oh, I use 7 sheet trays, 4 pots and pans, 6 mixing bowls, and all of this, right?
And a partridge in a pear
And a
tree.
partridge and a pear tree.
So I thought it was going to be relatively simple. I was really enjoying the process of making the sauce for the marinade. The one problem is that cooling down the sauce before marinating the chicken is a problem, and I made the sauce last night. So I was like waiting for it to cool, and then I set a time, like I set an alarm on my phone for like 3 a.m. just to see if it had cooled.
That is
And then I
so
put my
much
finger in,
dedication.
and I was like, damn it, it's still warm. So I waited until the morning, and then I grilled it, and I have a small, I'll show you the pictures, but I have a very tiny Japanese conro and, on our balcony, and it's raining. And so it's now taking 2 hours to light this grill. And I've got Japanese binchotan, which is already hard to light, but in the rain. And then I've got a chimney with an aluminum foil contraption that I've built to create like a little umbrella of aluminum foil that sticks onto the handle of the chimney.
Now that I'm hearing
And it's
this, can I
blocking the rain
negate
from
all
hitting
of the negative things that I said?
No, I'm loving every
anything?
minute of
I was
this.
thinking the
a
same.
lot
Like
of-
you should have told us this at the
Yeah.
beginning
Yeah,
while we
there
were
should've-
eating it.
I have a note here from Zach says, "Oh, it tastes like rain fell on this food." I don't know here. So you grilled it outside on a little
Okay, because the
over pizza
recipe
time.
was like, yeah, you could do it on like you can pan roast it, but it's so much better grilled. And I was gonna drive to Anajak
Oh my god.
and then grill it at Anajak because I was like, the
That would've-
grill
that would've
set
been
up.
fair.
It would have been
That would have been
so
fair.
easy.
I
for
was
the
just gonna go to my
competition.
home restaurant.
Exactly. But it wasn't fair to me because I was gonna have to drive all the way there and drive all the way back.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. That's not what I was talking about.
So
I get
you brought up something right at the beginning of this, which is skin on chicken thighs. The recipe has you bone them out because that is like the best cut.
I bought
but
them
you don't,
deboned,
but you
yeah.
don't want the bone, so you boned out the chicken thighs before you did it. I think that grocery stores need to sell boneless skin on chicken thighs.
And no
What the
grocery
hell?
store does.
No grocery store does.
Why is
but
that?
It's a
Standing
pain
says
in
it.
the ass to do. Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Standing specifically carries the skin on boneless.
No
That's-
way.
That's what he bought.
That's incredible.
No boning.
Yeah.
I'll put that on the point tally.
So
right
the
there, just
recipe
that little
actually
tip.
says that you should debone yourself and then grill the bones and offer it as a tasty snack.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I didn't have that tasty snack because I bought it without the bones.
What a silly instruction. What were your sort of takes on, you said you were enjoying making the marinade here. So, the heat in this dish and a lot of sort of Korean dishes comes from the gochugaru, the chili flake, or gochujang, which is also the same chili. There's some Korean peppers, like chili peppers also in there, maybe? Is that true?
In the recipe, it says it's Korean chilies, but if you look at the picture, it's the generic Thai chili, and that's what we ended up buying at the Korean market. And it works. I find that gochujang and gochugaru is not very spicy. You know, like Korean spicy, it's like Thai mild.
Right. That
You
was
know?
my question.
So I wanted to kind of step it up a little bit. So actually, I took the marinade. I reserved some of the marinade, reduced it down with more Thai chili, just to kind of get a little bit of extra.
Zach is troubled.
It-
Zach is troubled.
This is insanity. I mean, like he's like going to some fancy butcher shop getting. She's using chicken from a can.
Nothing
like,
could
it's
have
just
stopped you.
wild.
But you guys are
It's just
winning.
wild.
I spent all this
How-
time. My last 12 hours has been shot.
Nothing
But,
could
like,
have
he
stopped you
set
from
an
doing the
alarm
same
at
thing.
3 a.m..
But just to stay on the spice thing, though, I do feel like there's something about it where, to your point, gochujang is like not very spicy, like just a pure heat level. I also think it's a very sort of forward heat. It's like a kind of straightforward, hits you, it's spicy. So much of, spiciness in Thai cuisine feels like so like all encompassing, body wide. So let me ask you this. Given that you spent 12 hours on the damn thing and grilled in the rain, is this what are your overall thoughts on this recipe as a suggestion for people to make for a potluck?
The reason why I grilled in the rain, by the way, is because I have a very overactive and extra sensitive carbon monoxide alarm. And so I didn't want to have to deal with that. I ended up dealing with a whole other set of problems outside in the rain. How do I rate the recipe? It's super tasty, and the chicken turns out just kind of perfect. And that sauce is gonna probably, you could use it multiple times. So you probably only have to make this like once every 3 weeks, and you'll probably be good for a lot of meal prepping for home.
That's nice.
For potluck, I like the presentational aspect of it. I think some potlucks, you do want to do some stuff to kind of get people excited.
So this is getting into the kind of comments of it all. I actually really did, even though it's a little contrary to one of our tenets here of arrive, leave no trace of your being at a potluck. You arrived with various components in a Din Tai Fung takeout bag. You brought soju, to accompany the dish, which I think is crucial.
Which you would do at a potluck.
You would do at a potluck. You brought a little torch to go to torch your cheese, and there was a little bit of a show, and Zach was standing there, and Mandy was standing there kind of watching. All the producers were standing around watching this unfold, so there is a little showmanship to it. It wasn't so much that you were asking to use... You weren't saying, hey, can you guys light that Pichetrungsi outside so I can grill my chicken?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't bother the guests, and it keeps it interactive, and it's low lift for you. No sweating.
I enjoyed that part of it. I think that you are 100% right that you could do this in a broiler. You could cook the chicken in any number of ways, but like the char flavor is pretty crucial, I think, to this dish. My questions. Do you think it would be good sitting around for 45 minutes to an hour and a half at a potluck?
Not with the cheese. So I think it would have to be cheese. You'd have to summon a cheese angel every time someone wanted to eat.
And light the torch.
Maybe it could be a DIY torching of cheese.
That seems unsafe.
Mandy thinks that's unsafe. I did have a suggestion. I think that there is, in terms of winning a potluck, I've tried this move myself before. There is something to be said for if I'm bringing my jambalaya, my Buldak, my chicken in a can to this party, I might encounter the exact situation we encountered today, which is I am just one in a sea of spicy chickens here. Like there's no way I'm gonna win this. People are just gonna pile their plates high with a bunch of different garbage that's gonna pollute the taste of mine. I think for this dish in particular, could be a thing where you don't bust it out until later in the party.
Oh.
People have been
means
drinking.
You get to arrive late.
They've been hanging out. Yeah, you can
That's
even
smart.
arrive
That's
late.
so smart.
Everything's all grazed over. It's all looking nasty. People are like, oh, I still want to kind of graze a little bit. And Justin's like, I got
Watch
you.
this.
I'm an hour and a half late because I was trying to light my charcoal in the rain, but I'm here and I've got the chicken.
I think
I've
that's
got the
the
chicken
move.
solution.
As an apology for showing up late. Like
Yeah.
that's how you sort of make up for being late.
People
Is
would
you do
immediately
this
forget that you were
I
late.
can buy
I
into
like
that.
the idea that if the game is unwinnable, the game is rigged. Got to change the game a little bit here.
I
Mandy,
wanted to actually buy raclette from Milk Farm and shave it over. Like I wanted to set up a whole raclette toaster here.
I think
was
Zach would have
it's
left.
Gonna make this whole
No,
place
no.
smell
If
like
he
raclette.
listen, if I went to a potluck and he was in the corner, like doing like made to
Like,
order,
have you heard about
like
my
raclette,
jambalaya?
I'd be like so psyched to be at that party.
That would be
like,
fun,
You could
right?
put raclette on anything. Like
we
just
put
make it-
raclette on the jambalaya.
But I
Oh,
think
whatever.
But that
People
would be
just
your
come up
whole
to you and-
contribution. And that's another. Okay, this is another incredible technique. Another incredible potluck technique. Bring your raclette and your toaster and be like, "This is my contribution. I'm just going to raclette all over everything. Like I'm going to get my raclette stink over
That is
everybody's
a very good
food.
idea, though.
That's how
Except-
you win the potluck. God, you guys remember that potluck where everything had raclette on it?
That's so good.
I'd be
Mandy,
into that.
3 positives here. Unique. Definitely never been served. Likely won't be duplicated. So flavorful. Chicken was, I thought it said perfectly cooled, but perfectly cooked. You thought it was maybe a little too spicy for your general potlucking public.
Mine. If we want to go back to me being a basic white girl. Since that has already been visited.
Was it spicier than Frank's Red Hot?
It made my nose run. So,
Oh, I
yes.
think it also had a nose running effect on another person at the counter here.
Yeah, I mean, it was spicy. It was fine. It had the
fine.
cheese on
I
top,
love
the cooling
spicy.
effect.
I
and
was
you
just
have
thinking of the
You have
whole-
other things. Like, it was fine.
Mandy questioned the real potluck utility. Have you ever brought this to? You've never made this,
No, I've never made this.
so we don't know how it would perform at a potluck.
But
necessarily.
it does work well in the in those any day pans.
Mm-hmm.
So I call them the Babe Chang pans.
Babe
And they
Chang.
work.
This is
were
rigged.
great.
I'm sorry. This whole thing is, I'm starting to call into question everything that's going on.
Zach's comments, his very creative comments here, positives with the dish. It was made by Justin. You enjoyed the show as well. I liked the
Yeah.
showmanship. Your criticisms were that it's not food from Anajak Thai. Get out of here, Zach. This is not that useful
That's
to me.
so funny.
So we've heard from all of our recipe reports. Up next, everyone's going to have a chance to make their closing arguments in favor of their or possibly one of their competitors' recipes here. And then we're going to anoint a winner in just a second. All right. It is time to hear the closing arguments from our 3 club members here today. Let's go back to Zach, who presented his old school chicken and sausage jambalaya recipe, courtesy of Donald Link. Zach, we heard the broad strokes of why this is the best potluck thing, but stand up and tell the audience why this is what they should make next time they're invited to a potluck.
Do I have 45 minutes?
You have less than 30 seconds now.
It's funny. It's kind of crazy how different all 3 recipes are, and how I think that each one has its merits and as well as its downfalls. I think
You look directly
I
at
think
me.
if I had to hang my
It's the
hat on
chicken.
something, I would ask, which one of these recipes would you actually make at a potluck that you would actually try? And I feel like I feel like I would not make either of the 2 of your recipes. I wouldn't even try.
Right there. That's
I
good.
wouldn't
Okay.
even try for all sorts of reasons. Whereas jambalaya, I mean, it's fun. It's fun. Who wouldn't want to try that?
Mandy,
Yes.
the buffalo chicken dip sliders, courtesy of your brothers-in-laws from Frank's Red Hot.
Yes.
Tell us why this is the recipe people should make if and when they're invited to a potluck.
It's easy. It's tried and true. I've never had anybody complain about it. It's just like, it's a good addition to any potluck table.
If you were if you were to put like a little name card, you know,
like
like sometimes you go to potluck and, you know, a more table-scaped one will have the little kind of cards of what everything is. Do you reveal that as canned chicken on your card, or do you leave that as a mystery?
No.
Okay.
I completely had that thought while we were talking about it. I was like, is that like something, because Justin was so offended by the canned chicken. I'm like, wait a second. Are you doing a disservice by not letting people at the party know this? Does it have to have a little like
I was just
card
learning for the
allergies?
first
Like,
time.
I think
No,
you're a
and if
little
you-
scandalized.
If you're
Justin.
allergic to
Yeah.
canned chicken, don't eat this.
no one's allergic to canned chicken. Also, if you want to bypass the canned chicken, there are other chicken options.
Or you can just have
You can
the
do
crudité.
whatever you want with
Also, I think
this dip.
Justin is definitely allergic to canned chicken. Like in the way most people in LA are allergic to gluten.
Justin, Korean style fire chicken with cheese,
Just
the
like
Serious
Principal?
Eats version at least. Is this, among the 3 recipes presented here today, the best potluck recipe that we saw?
I think taste, yes.
Okay.
I think execution and time, no. I think presentation, definitely.
I think that's exactly how I would characterize it. I think that I would make Mandy's in my teen years, Justin's in my 20s, and Zach's in my 30s is how I would do it.
I mean, that checks out. I am probably the oldest one here.
But also, I was just going to say, how old are you? What happens?
But I'm not-
I'm
20.
16 years old. Okay, so I've when we come back, we will anoint a winner, distribute a prize, and wrap up this show. Before we get into the winner, I want to give you all some takeaway for this potluck episode. 3 easy steps for a great potluck dish. We got to brand this one better. First of all, we learned from Zach's jambalaya an important lesson, which is play the hits, play your strengths. Don't mess around and change things when you're cooking for other people. Don't cook something for the very first time
Justin.
when you're doing a potluck. Don't change a method that you've never done before. Sorry, Justin, I forgot that that's exactly what you did. Don't lean on the host's resources too much. if you're going to put on a show like Justin did, where you arrive, everything is in one place. There's a reason why you're putting on the show, but don't ask your host if they have a grill, or don't ask your friends if they have a grill. And then I think another important consideration for potluck is, how long is it going to sit there? Is it going to be good an hour from the time you started, an hour and a half from the time you started? And so with those 3 important takeaways in mind, while I enjoyed everything we had today, my eyes were opened by a certain canned chicken. I was blown away by Justin's effort, and I do think we unlocked a new method of winning a potluck, both with the late night start and also the recletification of everybody else's food. Mm-hmm. And I really enjoyed. I think Zach coming in with a 1-pot wonder was really impressive. Only one potluck dish can win today. And after much careful consideration of all 3 contestants, my congratulations today go to Zach Brooks for his jambalaya.
Whoa, that happened right at that time. Oh my goodness. Congrats.
You look like you're going to cry. Are you going to cry?
I will peel back the kimono and say, I think that I really enjoyed Justin's characterization of his dish was exactly right. I think I enjoyed eating it the most. Hearing the trials and labors of Justin for the last 12 hours is the only reason I can't recommend everybody go and grill on their balconies and produce this for a potluck. But Zach, the well-rounded man who throughout the show has been negging himself, thinking he would lose. A few words, please.
I really needed this.
Thank you, Zach. So you're not just winning the emotional uplift that comes with winning. You're also going home with this deluxe, double-layered, winner potluck dinner Recipe Club branded, double insulated.
That's gonna fit
casserole. What the hell is this thing called? Carrier.
It's a casserole carrier.
It's a casserole carrier. It's pretty dope, actually.
I don't
Open
think
that thing up.
Le Creuset is going to fit in that.
Can you grab his casserole dish and
I don't
see if
think
it
it'll
fits?
fit in there.
Come on.
But this thing's pretty cool.
Oh, I think it's going to
expands.
fit.
Amazing.
All right, should we try it?
Expands. I need to see it.
Thank you.
It expands.
Courtesy of our Meyer cookware, the official cookware of Recipe Club, a piece of IO series
We can share it.
cookware.
Yeah.
I'll just come over to your house.
I don't.
It does
don't
seem
want your
insane that we only have one here.
Can we have a potluck together where we all come to your house and you just make
cook
all the food?
And we just sit there. I'll bring alcohol.
Thank you to Mandy Roberts, Justin Pichetrungsi, and Zach Brooks for joining us today on the episode. Thank you to, Thank you to The Ringer for hosting our podcast. Everyone at Majordomo Media, please visit majordomo.com to find all the recipes from this show, to sign up for the Discord where you can complain about Justin being robbed and Mandy being robbed. Sorry, Mandy, you were definitely in the running for this one.
Definitely.
And
100%.
Follow Recipe Club Official on YouTube, subscribe to this podcast, and please give us 5 stars. Talk to you all soon.